21 Soho, are we well? Yeah. Fantastic. My name's Kwame Asante. Being a stand-up comic takes me all over the UK. And when I'm out and about, a question I always get asked is, Kwame, where are you from? Which, on the surface, sounds like a simple question, but in reality, those same four words can mean so many different things, especially depending on where you're being asked. So, for example, in London, where are you from usually means where do you live? Further north, where are you from means why are you black? Explain. Although, interestingly, in Scotland, where are you from means why aren't you Scottish? Like, the Scots see past race, but not in a way that makes you feel comfortable. So now, whenever someone asks me where I'm from, I give the same answer to everyone, which is I was born and raised in southeast London, but my family comes from Ghana. I just lay my whole life out on the table, and people can just pick out the bits they wanted to hear the whole time. I used to just say, I come from London, but some people got properly funny about that. I've generally had people roll their eyes at me like, oh, okay, you're from London. Usually it's because they already had some bullshit pre-prepared fact about Africa that they now don't get to share with me. Like, oh, he didn't address his blackness. Now I can't tell him my favourite film is The Lion King. Or some other nonsense. It is, by the way, it is perfectly acceptable to meet someone, find out they're from Africa, and just be like, fine, and just move on. It's cool. You don't have to force a connection with every single person you meet. I meet so many white people that I don't have a lot to say to, and that's fine. What I don't do is, you're white. Oh my God, I went to Waitrose last week. God, let's make that a conversation. Oh, hey, you're not from Waitrose. Okay, buddy. Oh. Jesus. I was born and raised in southeast London, spent the first 24 years of my life in London, and then in July 2015, I left London. I moved from London to Birmingham in a move that continues to baffle both my family and the comedy industry alike. And they both say exactly the same things. Oh my God, Kwame, why'd you leave London? All the best opportunities are in London. You were already in London. Why did you leave? I have to say that moving to the Midlands is one of the best decisions I've ever made for myself. I didn't realise how much I'd appreciate living in a city that makes an active effort to attract people and keep people in it. Because London, fundamentally, is not a welcoming place. Like a landlord charging you £1,000 a month for the privilege of living in a box room doesn't make you feel very welcome. When that box room contains all of your childhood possessions and the landlord is your mum, that cuts so much deeper. Now, Birmingham was a big move for me. I didn't have any friends or family there, and I didn't really fancy sharing a flat or like a house with people I didn't really know. So when I moved up, I started to look for a one-bed flat, and the viewing process was just terrible. It was a struggle. I was viewing terrible flat after terrible flat after terrible flat. I was really down and pessimistic about the whole thing. And so I got a call from one of the letting agents. It's like, Kwame, you still looking for a flat? And I was like, yeah, I'm still looking for a flat. I was like, Kwame, there's just been a viewing cancellation on the perfect flat. Can you come down right now? And I was like, oh yeah, sure. And I jogged all the way to this flat, and it really was the perfect flat. And when I got to the flat, the letting agent was there, and the landlady was there. Now, the landlady didn't know that the original people who'd booked to view the flat had cancelled and that I was a last-minute replacement. Apparently, the original people who booked to view the flat were a young lesbian couple. Now, I didn't know this until the landlady said to me, oh, I'm really surprised to meet you, Kwame. I was expecting to meet a young lesbian couple. And I panicked because there is no right response to that statement. But I really liked the flat and I really wanted to make a good impression. So I said the first thing that came to my head was just, well, why have two lesbians when you can have one Kwame? Which makes no sense. But at the same time, I'm really happy that I said it, because without realising, I put the landlady in an awkward racism versus homophobia stalemate. So then she panicked because she didn't know what to say and just gave me the keys to the flat. I've been living there happily ever after. It's brilliant. Now, Birmingham's great. Birmingham, we're hosting the Commonwealth Games next summer. And so because of that, there's a big drive in the city to try and make everyone sportier. And because of that, it means I'm seeing a lot more of one of my biggest pet peeves in the entire world. My biggest pet peeve, couples running together. Couples running together stress me out so much, like irrational. Like the fact that you're a couple already just makes single people feel bad about themselves. But then the couple go running together to make other couples feel bad about themselves. And this creates this big cycle of hate. And it's like now, whenever I see a couple running together, I have this fantasy. When I see a couple running together, I want to chase after them. I want to chase after them, because if a couple's running together, they're running together at like a shared, mutually agreed speed. If I was to chase after them, fear would kick in. And each of them would start running as fast as they could, which would be different speeds. So then when I caught up with the slow one, I could go, hey, you see that? That's how fast they'd be running if they weren't with you. You're holding them back. And then I'd just walk away. Make them feel shitty about something. Oh, man. Outside of stand-up comedy, I work as an A&E doctor in NHS. A lot of NHS people here tonight. It's really nice. Patrick ran away so quickly, I don't know where he's gone. I studied it 6 years for med school beforehand. Med school was great because it meant I learned a lot of answers to questions I'd always had about my own body. But after the full 6 years of med school, I learned too much about the human body, and that excess knowledge just creates social awkwardness. That's all it does. So for example, I'm lactose intolerant. I've been lactose intolerant for most of my life. It wasn't until med school that I learned that lots of Africans are lactose intolerant. Apparently we're born with the lactase enzymes you need to help break down milk, and that helps you through being breastfed. But because there's not a lot of milk in the African diet traditionally, as you get older, those enzymes disappear and you become lactose intolerant in later life. Now, I remember first year of uni, I was in my shared student accommodation flat. One morning, I was making a cup of coffee and I was using lactose-free milk. And this other guy in the flat, guy I didn't know, walks into the accommodation kitchen, sees me doing this and goes, lactose-free milk? Mate, are you gay? Like obviously thinking lactose-free milk was some kind of health fad or something. I don't know what was going through his head. Now, I don't know this guy. You guys don't know this guy. But after hearing one sentence from his mouth, we've already pegged him to be the type of guy that would not appreciate a full lecture on the decreasing expression of lactase enzymes in Afro-Caribbeans over time. He's not as patient as the Soho audience, and I thank you. I appreciate that. So, when he goes lactose-free milk, mate, are you gay? Instead of going to the whole thing, I just reply, nope, just African. Because I'd already made that connection in my head. To which he goes, Africans can be gay too. And I'm just standing there thinking, how have I become the least progressive person in this conversation? Like, how did we get here? I was like, yes, I know Africans can be gay. I was like, oh, what? So you lactose intolerant or something? How's that your second guess? On what planet was gay the first option to open with? I was like, yes, I'm lactose intolerant. I was like, oh, mate, just say that then. And then walks out the kitchen. And I'm just stood there like the social high ground was there for the taking. But I tried to be too clever, and now I'm the shady, racist homophobe. I know too much about the body, too much. Obviously, the topical question at the moment now is, what does it feel like being a doctor during COVID? And I'll be honest with you guys, it's felt like a lot of things. I think the thing I anticipated the least is spending a lot of time feeling like a Californian Christian youth worker. A Californian Christian youth worker, because I have patients kicking off at me like, shut up, doctor, I don't believe in COVID. And I just stood there like, hey. COVID believes in you, brother. COVID believes in you, man. And it's got a plan for you. But it doesn't have to have its way. Believe me when I say there is salvation. In the name of the face mask, the jab, and the social distance. Let us stay indoors. It's tiring. I'll leave you guys with this. I know that a lot of people say that lockdown made a lot of people weird. I don't think lockdown and staying indoors made me weird. I think going out during lockdown made me weird, because like we spent so much time in the house that those brief moments we were allowed outside became such high stakes, sort of precious time, and everything became a high pressure situation. Like I remember I was in the supermarket during like this is peak COVID, peak first wave COVID, and was scared. No one knew what was going on. I was in the supermarket, and we've all been in this situation before, where you go in the reduced section and you see something cool, like a good loaf of bread, and you pick it up and it's been reduced from £1 to 90p, some kind of bullshit reduction. And like normally you just put it back, you don't even think about it. This is peak COVID. This is peak first wave COVID. And I was stood there thinking, oh shit, how many other people have picked up and put down this loaf of bread for the exact same reason as me? Not just any people, cheap people. cutting corners kind of people. You know, the kind of people. So now I'm just stood there publicly sobbing in Morrison's because I've definitely got COVID off this loaf of Hovis best of both. My partner's looking at me like, Kwame, why are you freaking out? And I can't tell her the truth. The truth that we're definitely going to die because I'm a tight bastard. So I got to make up something like, oh, you know, it's just so beautiful to see. Brown and white in perfect harmony. There's not a lot to celebrate these days. I don't think I was this weird before the Rona. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been absolutely amazing. I've been Kwame Asante. Thank you so much. Cheers.